reason I'm hesitant, because if I record it and I share it, then I got to do an even better job, right? If there's no record, then I don't have to really worry about it. I'm joking. But here's our four basic option positions. And so let's just start with our basics. So here's our bullish positions. Here are our bearish positions. And the other reason, Jerry, I'm being a little facetious, but when I do this, it gives me an opportunity to kind of, work on how I present things, and you guys can be guinea pigs. So there's our long calls bullish and our short put. And this would be a long put. And this would be a short call. And so you asked me to go over a debit put spread. And debit means we're going to have more money out than money in. So let's just say that I do this, Jerry. I go, I buy one Apple August 185 put at 13. All right, so that's just a basic option position. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
And we're bearish. Would you agree we're bearish?
Yep.
And when we buy options, we got to be right about three things. We got to be right about direction. We're choosing down. We got to be right about how far down, 13 points down to cover my out-of-pocket cost. And we got to be right about direction. And timing. We're saying all this is going to take place between now and expiration August. And then what I like to do is say, okay, but here what we have is a choice to sell the stock at the strike price. So that's the contract specification. I'll put that there. And the reason that's important, the reason that is important is because we have a ceiling at 185. If Apple is 185 or higher, the contract will expire and I'm going to lose 13 points or $1,300. My break even is 172. And past 172, I make money all the way to zero. And so while I think it's going down, I think, geez, don't tell anybody, but maybe I don't have $1,300. And my broker is not going to lend me any money to buy options. So I think, man, I'd like to lower my out-of-pocket cost. I'd like to lower my out-of-pocket cost, and I'd like to lower the level of volatility I need. Right, I need 13 points of volatility. So I say, you know what I think I'll do is I will sell a lower strike put to help me pay for the higher strike put. So I'm about to implement your point, a debit put spread. So remember, a spread means long and short, the same type of contract. Long and short, the same type of contract. So if I'm going to create a spread and I've already bought the option, that means the next thing I'm going to do is sell the option. Right? So sell one Apple August. Now I got to decide, where I'm putting in the floor. Without creating the debit put spread, Jerry, my gain is all the way to zero. So, now I'm going to put in a floor. Options are all about floors and ceilings. There's a ceiling at 185. I'm about to put in a floor. And maybe I put in the floor at 165. I'm saying I want to play, but I only want to play between 185 and 165. And let's say I can get 7 points for that. So test question number 1, this is a spread. Test question number 2 is it a debit or a credit spread? Now, I always like to put underneath that contract, what am I looking at? And so here I'm looking at an obligation to buy the stock at the strike price. Boom, let's put that there. Okay, so the way we determine debit or credit, there's a lot of ways to do options. The way I like to do it is I like to net the premiums. And so is that 13 money out or money in?
So the 13 is money out because you're buying.
That's
the-
right. That's right. That's going to be money out. So let's put that in there. And is that 7 money out or money in?
So that's money in because you're selling the put contract.
Yeah, pretty cool. I lowered my out-of-pocket cost from 13 down to 6. It's a lot easier for Apple to go down 6 points than it is for Apple to go down 13 points. Right? So here I've lowered my out-of-pocket cost. It's still a debit, more money out than in. I'm buying a put here. It's just I'm cheap. I'm being the cheap bastard I am. I'm buying it at 13. I'm selling it at 7. And so my net out-of-pocket cost is 6. That is my net debit. So indeed, this is what you asked me to show you, and I'm in the midst of showing it to you. Would we all agree that this is a debit put spread?
Yes.
Yes. Now, it isn't something that should be shocking to you. You should know that anytime you buy options, it's a good thing. The most you can lose is what you paid. And, that's one of the reasons to buy options, because if you're wrong, you're just going to lose your money. You're still a loser here, Jerry, but losing 6 is better than losing 13. 185 or higher, both these contracts are going to expire. And if they both expire, you're going to be unhappy because you're going to lose 6 points.
Yeah.
But losing 6 is better than what?
13.
Yeah. So in a debit spread, let's just put here, the max loss in a debit spread is the net debit, right? A debit spread. And I think that's what you wanted to do. Max gain, max losses. So there's our max loss. So debit spread. Now there's a couple ways to get to the max gain. I personally think it's a mental mess, Jerry, to memorize that the maximum gain in a debit spread is the difference in the strikes less than the net debit. I personally think that's a mental mess. I think it's easier to know that there's 20 points to be made or lost. That's the whole point of the spread. All of the action takes place between those strikes. Of the 20 points to be made or lost, you have spent how many of those points? Of the 20 points to be made or lost, how many have you spent?
So you spent
6.
6. Okay.
Right? So if somebody sticks it to me at 165, which I'm obliged to do, and then I stick it to the next guy at 185, I would make 20 points. But what did I spend to get rolling?
If you spent
6.
13. Oh, sorry, 6.
Yeah, I spent 6, right? So my max gain is 14. The gain and the loss always equals the difference in the strikes. Always, always, always. Right? So you can, as a test taker, eliminate anything offered to you that doesn't add up to 20. Now I'll show it to you again in a T. So here's a T. And now I'm just putting these numbers in here. Here's our money out, money in. Boom. And so we paid out 13. Made that a little bigger. We brought in 7. And so one of the things you get asked on spreads is, do you want this to exercise or expire? This is a debit spread. So in a debit spread, do we want the contracts to expire or exercise?
Exercise.
And what that means is somebody's going to stick it to me at 165. And then I'm going to stick it to the next guy at what?
185.
And is that pleasurable or painful? Am I a happy camper or unhappy camper if somebody sticks it to me at 185 and I can stick it to the next guy at 185? I'd be happy, right?
Yeah.
I'd make 20 points less what I spend to get rolling. So we net those columns. Boom, right? If we net those columns, I'm terrible at arithmetic, but that's 178, I believe. And this is, here I'm just showing the 14 points, and this is 1 92. And I think if I take 192 minus 178, I think I come up with that 14 points. Do I? Let's try it. 192 minus 178. So, yep, that's our max gain. Our max gain is when the contracts are exercised, right? Because when it's exercised, boom, the guy who sticks at me 165 goes, Dean, I can't believe you're happy that I'm making you pay 165 for Apple stock that's 150. I can't believe you're okay with that. I said, well, I'm okay with that because you stuck it to me at 165, but I'm stinging it to the next guy at what?
185.
Woo, I'm a winner. Right? I'm a winner. So you said gain or loss. Any question on that? So remember, there's other things. You got to be able to tell me bullish or bearish. You got to be able to do the max gain.
Break
Yeah.
even.
On my way home, you want anything?
No, I'm fine.
Your break even's 179.
The break even would be push, put subtract from the higher. So, you got to cover your out of pocket cost. So let me just show that to you. So here is the market price of Apple. Let me do that again. Boom. And we're saying that we only want to play between 185 and 165. Those are my two strike prices. 185 and 165. And again, you can eliminate any break even that's outside this range. The break even has to be somewhere within the range. As we said, you got to cover your out-of-pocket cost, Jerry, but now good news for you, your out-of-pocket cost isn't going to be 185 minus 13 because you don't need 13 points down now. You only need what down? You only need 6 to cover your out-of-pocket cost. So the break even is going to be 185 minus 6. Your break even is 179. And so let's put that there. And remember, you don't get to play outside the strikes. All the action takes place between the strikes. Right? So there's your break even. There's the 6 you paid. That was your 6 out of pocket. And we said the most that can be made is the difference in those two numbers, right? There's our 14. Right? Once you go past 179, you start to make money. Once it goes past 165, it doesn't matter. Right? Because every dollar you make on your 185 put, you're going to lose on the 165. As I said, all of the action takes place between the what? The strikes.
Right.
I think that is a floor and a ceiling. Right? There's a floor at 165 and a ceiling at 185. All right, so your next one is a combination. A combination is a straddle with different strike prices. So a straddle, do you want to do a long combination or a short combination?
Let's do it short.
Okay.